how does it feel be a repeat founder with several businesses in Silicon Valley? How does it feel from the inside?
Well, from one, there's far less anxiety, and because you're not afraid of mistakes. What really makes you, like repeat founder or like repeat product owner, repeat something is that you repeat because you failed along the way and you're not afraid of the failure. And that gives tremendous freedom, emotional, because you're just not afraid to try. When you manage to do something successfully, it kind of like also puts expectations on you. So like you're not afraid to fail, but like you kind of like people automatically expect something from you. And that's, like weight of expectations could be also the one that kind of like, like sabotaging or like procrastinating. Every time a meeting is high, you like building your company, that gotta be huge. And I feel like you have to hit certain like level automatically and do this like much faster. I'm sure like you can work on this as well, but people you already have perception of you, and you have expectations of people. And those expectations also comes potential fear or like potential shame when you don't perform this. And shame is much more toxic than fear. I guess like I'm very confident in my identity. I know that I can launch venture startups. I know that I can launch just from like scratch non-venture businesses. I mean, come on, like I got this idea. I did 10 customer discovery calls. I created community. It's been 1 year ago almost. So
Yeah.
and it happened like within like 2 3 weeks from like the idea to like the product itself. But again, it feels like you don't have like room for mistake.
Mhm.
But like it's not inside of you. I feel like it's something like projected from like outside. I guess even like more founders who like even bigger and some point of time just reach the point where you don't give a shit about anyone and anything. You just build because you want to solve this problem. I feel like that's the core ability of like any founder is just to, like not to be too dependent on anything external and to just, like block out all the white noise. It's all about inner compass. Why you do this, what it brings to you, nothing about, like fame, people expectations, fear of judgment, fear of failure. That's all not ours. That's all other people. So it's all about inner compass and really relying and trusting this as much as possible. Because people are always
So,
gonna judge. People always gonna be unhappy, whatever you did.
yeah, you mentioned judgment, but you also mentioned shame. And I was wondering, is it more from other people or is it more self-shaming?
I think it's both. I think it's like founders, we also have a lot of like self expectations, and we've been talking to like founders who failed companies or closed it, and it feels like self-identification, like I'm not the founder anymore, or like if I failed. And there's gonna be people who are gonna be, like criticizing you. I had this like 6 months of like people pretty much like shaming on social media, but then like you start to catastrophize it, I guess. 10 people or like 20 people is not the whole world, just 20 people. And I feel like people who did this will never say anything. People who build the company will never, because they know how hard it is. And that's the only people you care about. All the rest of the people, the shame, because they're triggered, because you did something, especially like it takes a huge courage to build something publicly. And all the people
Yeah.
who are gonna be shaming and giving comments, that's because they were so like afraid to do this. They never tried. And they're not like, hey, it makes me feel better that I was so fucking covered for not even trying a bit. But people who did
Yeah.
this, they understand how much it takes. They will never say words. They might help you, they might give you constructive feedback if you ask, but they will never be toxic and judgmental to you.
When you said that you can potentially reach a state where you don't care about anything and just build,
Yeah.
at first I thought it's impossible. But now I realize when you grow to the top 1% of top 1%
Yeah.
that we endlessly talk about in our community,
Yeah.
uh, there are just so few people who are really in a position to judge you. And they have so many complicated problems of their own. They are in a good position to judge you, but they don't have time for it.
If you get to 1% of 1%, like you have to be there. People have put a lot of work and investment to this. They're not toxic people. They're like they know their shit. They focus on themselves as well. So like that's all, like 99.99% behind you.
Yeah, so this is like the recipe of the toxic free culture.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
do think it's possible. It's just I would say in my case, I'm maybe like 90% there right now.
Mm.
So, but again, like in my case, also like it went through the crisis, and then you understand that like it's very painful, but at the same time extremely liberating. When you face the biggest fear, it happens, but then like, hey, I survived. Yes, it's gonna take time to recover, but like it's not the scariest thing anymore.
What helped you the most to recover from failures?
Um, well, in my case, when we had this like crisis with my company after war, what was like the most difficult for me at the beginning was when people started to blame me when I had to fire 120 people of 150, and we could not pay some of them like the last month's salary just because all money were locked. I guess like I had this like notion I have to be a good person, and like me being super empathetic and like hey, I had to fire a person who was like single mom. It was so much self-guilt and self-shame, and self-guilt always requires self-punishment. I mean, like punishment. Um, and I just remember, I was actually talking with Andre Dorange, was like my investor, and he said like, you just have to admit that first of all, you cannot make hard decisions without mistakes. You cannot
Mm.
make hard decisions without hurting someone. Yes, you hurt someone. Yes, you did not everything right. You made lots of mistakes. You broke some people. But take it like as a learning. You had to fire 120 people, so next time you can fire 12,000 people. Like it's your responsibility to take this experience either of like learning self-investment or like self-development. So that was for me. Like you don't have all the knowledge, you don't know how to act the best at the moment. And I guess like the next like it's like this media crisis because there's also people talking like hey, she's a horrible person. And I guess like for me okay, I tried so hard, I gave up everything, I sacrificed everything, but I was not a bad person. I just like the person who faced incredible crisis, and at that time I didn't have skills or capacity or knowledge or like resources to deal like in different way. The next time I will. I did the best I could, and I'm learning as much as I can from the situation. That kind of like helped to reduce self guilt, and self guilt was kind of like leading to isolation, self punishment, sabotage, and all of this. So, and lots of therapy. Again, overnight, it just passed. It took me, I don't know, like 1 year and a half, but yeah, but it passed.
Again, it took you 1 year and a half, and then
Yeah.
overnight.
Well, I'm like joking, yeah, like overnight, like overnight success. No one knows what like behind it.
What's your favorite self-help practice?
Ouch. Well, therapy helps a lot for me because I need to talk through things. Even if it's gonna be like mastermind, like my friends. Like sometimes it's hard to find people who can actually listen to you because if you're sharing something extremely scary or like traumatic, people can be triggered because you
Yeah.
trigger their own fears. They don't have the capacity to kind of like be there for you, and really few people have the capacity to feel really scary things. Um, and for me, I don't know, like long walks along the ocean, swimming in the ocean, I guess like water is healing. Obviously, we all came from water. It's healing body, mind, and soul. But I do think like you should top it out. And the most helpful one also is hypnosis. That helps like lots of automatic reactions like we have like a pattern like thought, reaction, and hypnosis that helps a lot like 1 2 sessions and it's like rewired. So
Mhm.
that would take also
Is
like for example, if you have like hey reaction then like fear. Like for example, like we've talked about like something like in our community where you have like, hey, like I'm not enough, or like I should, like I'm not the best, or like, hey, there's like fear, like it can get fixed. Like 2 sessions, then it just like rewires your brain. It doesn't mean like this situation equals fear. Just this situation as it is.
an interesting question about our community because
Yeah.
I've been with the community. Wow, I guess it's like 8 months or so. And I'm curious, has it turned out the way that you initially designed it, or did it become something different?
It became definitely much deeper.
Oh, really?
Like I can see, like how like the connections were like creating, how like I'm super happy that it's not actually the platform that just supports, like the mental state or like emotional state or physical state, but every single person actually changed lives. So that became like a super like platform, like every single, like career or like personal or like anything. It was like really significant big changes, like structural fundamental changes in life. And that's what I see, like sometimes that active participation in the community it has like finite lifetime because we can only be so much focused on work for like a specific period of time and usually like hey like I had this like active period so like then I need to rest like I had
Yeah.
like 6 months active or like 1 year active or like 9 months active and that depends. What I'm thinking right now is that I guess the core format that we have is very deep and very committed in terms of the time and like in work and that can create FOMO in like many people and like not just FOMO but it creates like this like opposite of like ego effect. I feel bad about myself because I'm not managing and like you don't want to pay for something or like be part of something where you feel bad for yourself. But some people
Yeah.
just feel bad for themselves just because they're not as active. So I just want like every person at like any stage of their life in any time capacity to always feel good. And like activity of others can inspire us, but it can also, like demotivate us as well. So that's
Yeah,
like something
definitely.
hasn't solved yet. I'm pretty sure I will figure it out.
Yeah, that's the way I describe our community to external people. Just this morning, I was recording a circle in Telegram for my friends, and I
Well,
was like, well, I'm in this community where someone works at Meta, someone has their own startup, someone has been at this super AI conference. Like every week, something amazing happens to someone, and you feel a little bit of FOMO.
that's kind of like the part about motivation. It's also just like what kind of defines us. I think we need to reach JOMO, joy of missing out, without fear of missing out.
Yeah,
So we'll see. Yeah, I'll figure it out. That's an interesting community dilemma.
it's a nice problem to have because I can totally agree that it's about depth. It's not
Yeah,
about scaling, but it's definitely about the depth of relationships between people, the depth of the topics. Uh,
yeah,
Yeah, so maybe not a ton of people come, but they do stay. So
yeah,
it's the best result, I guess, the retention and engagement and the
yeah.
sincerity of
Like
the.
exactly. Like from the product perspective, I was like talking to like one person. That's a great product. I have great lifetime value, great engagement, retention, and referral. So I just, yeah, I'm right now working on like scaling because communicating is not the easy job. I've had like 6 rounds of customer discovery calls because people tell like hey I want to meet people but at the same time community is still an instrument. It should serve something that's changed their life and not many people really realize it. Sometimes it takes like a big like self-discovery so, or like self-awareness and it's easy to mistaken like hey is the goal to like for example grow income or like start a company and that's the goal and the community the instrument or the whole goal is to be around people and have the sense of belonging and inspiration but I want to be around people who are pre-qualified with the same goals and values that I have. So I guess like my first thought that was like really the first one but then I realized no it's actually the second one.
It's the second one.
Yeah,
I remember that we really started talking when I started uh, debating with you about how you could mix the personal goals and the professional goals in one community. And maybe some people have these goals relevant, and some people have those. Like somebody wants to grow their business versus somebody wants
yeah,
to grow their relationships at the moment. And we ended up actually, yeah, with that answer that you want to be between like-minded people with the growth mindset, as we finally discovered
yeah,
what
and it's
similar
about
goals
mirroring each
do.
other. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like growth in any area of your life. Like grow your
yep,
income, grow your business, grow your relationship with your partner, grow your spiritual understanding, psychological strength, whatever that
Yeah.
could be. So
And
anything, yeah.
that's like it's like also the good part. Some of us like do not focus on like personal life just because it's like it's already like established, or like we were happy without this. And like both sides are extremely insightful for like a person who wants to be there. Like for someone who's not working in a career, it's because like hey like I have it settled. It usually means that I can give a lot to you, either how to achieve it or like how you can be without it, which is also extremely insightful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm not talking about this topic because it's settled. Well, not
Exactly.
always. It happens most of the time. If I have nothing to say, for example, about my sports routine, it's because it's settled.
Yeah, but that's why you can help most of it. It's like that means like this topic, it's about you giving back to others.
Yeah, nice. Kind of communications. And actually, uh, Dash, you mentioned that you want to scale the community. I think we could do referrals. We talked about our community a lot. It's
Yeah.
Russian speaking. This channel is in English, but I know many people who know me personally will watch this. So if
Awesome.
you ladies are interested, we'll definitely put a link below. You can
Don't be a product
and
placement, see?
and and maybe the referral on the channel works.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, one more theory. It's a good one.
What?
One of the hypotheses
Yeah, yeah.
that's gonna be. So you see, it's also like coming back to the community. I came here to support you to grow your YouTube channel because that's important to you. I didn't ask you for like referral. That's like also part of the community. And because like I'm you super committed to help you succeed, you just organically want to help like in return to help like grow the community. And that's about like really deeply caring and giving first to people. And then like it's like it's an exchange all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So Dasha wants to help me grow. I want to help Dasha grow and also help the people who are watching. Maybe
Yep.
somebody will be a great addition to our community.
Exactly.
It's
See?
always it's always interesting to have more great people around. That's I
Oh,
think that's the final goal of the communities to have more great
exactly.
people supportive around you.
To help other people like life make it better, like either grow or like have more support, have more joy, have more, I don't know, like safety. So you like the world will never get worse if you give it more to them. So like if you're gonna be open and sharing resources, sharing insights, sharing our time, sharing our help, and it's about authentic. I feel like people always feel it when you really want to help others just because you want, and or you trying to like be transactional. The biggest, I guess, outcome, maybe like I for me, like conclusion from like our conversation, even if you don't want to build community or like you're not sure yet, just think, like every week, how can you help other people? That's like where it starts. Building a relationship, building network, or like building a community. Maybe even like dedicate like, hey, I'm gonna have 1 hour a month just to help someone. And just like, hey, how can I be helpful? Analyze how much time and resource you have because you can only give back from like the moment of the deficit, not deficit. But start was like small. Even if you can help like simple conversation or like some link or some chat to like one person a month, that's a great start. Just like
Yeah.
start small
I
and then like it's gonna become what it should what do you want it to become?
So yeah, build a supporting network for your next goal, for the next goal of the people who are watching and reading you. And yeah, like I'm already thinking of starting like the small giveaway, like for people who ask for maybe a consultation, maybe actually I've recently done stuff like that. So just reviewed a YC application, consult, I don't know about the product, give feedback, even the honest feedback.
Ask people to repost your post about help. Give them free consultation. Ask them for the honest feedback after the consultation. Put it publicly, and you have the
Yeah.
viral content book.
Yeah, it's so nice to talk to Dasha because we are really sincere, but at the same time we're always those product-oriented people. with the viral mechanics and retention and product hypothesis.
Growth in any form. Awesome. Great
Yeah.
emotion. Great. I love you. Let's create a marketing funnel out of this.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much for coming. It was super fun. I didn't expect that it would be so much fun. We ended up laughing so much.
Well, thanks so
It,
much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation. And yeah, you guys
yeah.
should really support Jane as much as you can. And maybe if you're lucky enough, you're going to be on her channel as well.
I love to be helpful. And thank you very much for watching this podcast. Thank you, Dasha. And see you.